What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So this week, President Biden made another big promise. And in today's video, I want to address what that promise is, why it is so significant, and why it will not stop there. So if you have any questions on what's going on in today's video or what's going to happen in the future, now I don't have a crystal ball, I can't predict what's going to happen, but I can tell you what is likely to happen, and that's what I'm going to do in today's video. So let's get right down to it. All I ask is if you can spend just 2 seconds, go ahead and hit that like button and let's continue. So do you remember when President Biden, he was just the former Vice President Joe Biden? Well, if you remember those times, you probably remember when he promised the American people that if they elected him president, he would give them certain things. Now, you may remember some of those things, and we'll talk about that later. You also might remember when he became President Biden, he was standing in front of a crowd of people in Georgia, promising them $2,000 stimulus checks. That was if, and only if, they voted Democrat in the Georgia Senate runoff. Well, today we're not talking about some of the promises that President Biden made, such as free college to all. We're not going to discuss the promise to give Social Security recipients $200 per month increases. And we're definitely not going to talk about the $10,000 student loan forgiveness package that President Biden signed off on just recently. Those will be for other videos. But there is something that we need to talk about today, and that is President Biden's next big promise. And he made it this past week. But it will not stop there. So what is this big promise? Well, I can tell you right now, a lot of people completely missed what President Biden is promising. Now, here's what's going on. On Thursday, President Biden promised the American people that he would codify Roe and make Roe the law of the land. But the American people had to do one thing for him. Just one. That's it. They must deliver 2 additional Democratic senators to the United States Senate. That's it. If the American people can do that one thing and provide 2 additional Democratic senators, President Biden will do one thing. He promises he will codify Roe. Now, let me read his full statement for you, because this will really explain what he's trying to do. He says, and I quote, "If you give me 2 more senators in the United States Senate, I promise you, we're going to codify Roe and once again make Roe the law of the land." He also added, "The power to get things done is in the hands of the American people, especially the women out there. I don't think MAGA Republicans have a clue about the power of American women. Let me tell you something. They're about to find out." Now, that was a pretty powerful statement. President Biden is putting the fate, I guess, or the direction of the United States in the hands of American women. That's what he's saying. Now, let me just give you the other side of this story, because you need both sides, and that's what I try to always do. Biden is saying that Republicans, if they gain control over the House and the Senate, then they would try to pass a ban on abortions. That's what he said. And he also added, "I will veto it." Because it doesn't matter if Republicans win the House and have the majority there, and win over the Senate and have the majority there, President Biden is still the president, and he can veto the bill. We would actually need to see an overwhelming majority of Republicans in the House in order to see a veto get overturned. And chances are that's not going to happen. Now, I want to be very clear. And I don't want to get into what could happen, but I want to provide you with the facts. And as of right now, Republicans, okay, let me just point this out. Republicans would consider placing a ban on abortions. However, it would be a ban on abortions after 15 weeks. That's what's been discussed. So don't just believe what President Biden is saying as that is the 100% truth. Also, don't believe what I'm saying either. Okay? Don't believe, and I've been telling you guys this for forever. always go and fact check. It doesn't matter if it's coming from me, it's coming from the president, the Pope, it doesn't matter. You should fact check everything. Okay? Now, I also say that because there's a lot of people that change their minds. They change their statements. But the reason I bring this up is because it's not going to stop here. This is the big deal. Now, do I think President Biden coming out and promising the American people he's going to codify Roe, do I think that's a big deal? It's important. But do I think he can make that promise if he gets 2 additional senators? No. I still do not think he would have the numbers. And again, it depends on who would be in the Senate. Right now, we know, there's a couple that are kind of holding back. But again, at the same time, if 2 additional Democratic senators get voted in, does it mean that we have the numbers? No. But here's what we do know. With just over 40 days left, lawmakers, both Republican and Democratic, are going to make promises in order to try to sway the American people to vote one way or another. We know this. We see this all the time right before the elections. We got a little over a month left. So if you think the promises are going to stop here, you're wrong. If you think the lies are going to stop here, you're wrong. They're actually only going to increase. Because what we know is Democrats are going to go after abortion rights. They're going to try to pretty much, kind of hammer the Republican Party because they're trying to ban abortions. But Republicans are going to go after inflation and how that's Democrats' fault. They're going to go after the national deficit. Again, that's Democrats' fault. Now, I'm not saying I'm saying that. These are what Republicans are already saying. And they're already going after the very real threat of a recession and blaming that on President Biden himself. So, what I want you to do is watch every person. Watch and see what every person says and understand that nobody has all the power. Even if Democrats can get 2 more seats in the Senate, they will not have all the power in the world. They just don't. Unless they can get 60 Democrats in the Senate, that's the only way they would have the majority of the power. And even then, if Senator Joe Manchin is one of those, which he will be because he's not up for re-election in 2022, the problem is they would need probably 62 Senate Democrats in order to have all the power. That would eliminate the filibuster. They'd still have President Biden in office, so he'd obviously vote for whatever they pass. And then if Democrats remain in control of the House of Representatives, that's the only way. So again, just wanted to fill you in on what's going on because this is President Biden's next big promise. He's going to codify Roe. But again, he still has not filled the other promises that he made back when he was running for president. So there's a lot of stuff on the table right now. It's just not abortion rights. So keep that in mind and understand over the next month or so, about month and a half, we're going to see a lot of promises. We're going to see a lot of bashing of the other party. And just expect that, but understand, and this is why I told you, make sure you fact check everything. Because what we're going to see moving forward is going to be a lot of lies. And again, I promise I will do everything I can to make sure that the research that I'm doing, I also fact check it so that you are getting the most trustworthy information. So again, just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.